Peace be with you. So good to have you here. Also online here from Florida to Westboro to Belmont. And on the first Sunday of the year of our Lord 2026, I wish you all a Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Having said that, has anyone already made and maybe already broken New Year's resolutions? Who has made any resolutions for this new year? Some people have. Some people have here too. Some people have. Lose weight, work out more. What's another resolution we can have for the new year?
Stay in touch with friends.
Stay in touch with friends. Stay in touch with friends. Yes, or find or develop friends, community. 2 years ago, when I began my new journey alone, I made some resolutions. I'm continuing those resolutions today. It was start dancing, do improv comedy, find a trainer, lift weights, things like that. So this past week, I had a new personal best with weightlifting. There's something called a deadlift. I didn't quite know what it was, but it's the barbell's on the ground, and you just lift it up to your waist level. That's you don't go over your head. So I did 255 pounds up there. So I was very proud of myself. God is transforming me this year in my body and my journey. And I thank God. I did it 10 times in a row. So sometimes when the people at dance wonder, can you lift me up? And I'm like, I can lift two of you up. But then I think back on my grandfather, Grandpa Olaf Weefald. In his retirement, he ran an antique store in Dilworth, Minnesota, called, surprisingly, Weefald's Antiques. And he loved this. In his retirement, he collected all kinds of things. I would go to these markets and buy boxes of junk with him. He also had lots of cars. And I remember in the back shop, he had a garage, and he was working on a Model T. And he wanted my dad to get something under the Model T. So my dad's name is Knut. He said, Knut, I'm gonna lift up the car, just grab this tool I want, and then I'll set it down. And so then I'm watching my grandpa go to the front of a Model T. He grips the bumper. He lifts the car off the ground like a deadlift weight. My dad, I can't believe my dad trusted it, went under, grabbed the tool, got out, and then my grandpa carefully let the car back down.
Wow.
Now, Model Ts don't weigh quite as much like as an SUV, but I looked it up. They said that if you lifted up the front of a Model T, that's around 700 pounds right there. So perhaps someday, as I keep journeying and seeking transformation, I can grow into the heritage of my grandpa Ole, who was anything but an antique himself. Today's Bible reading is all about the journey and transformation of the Magi, growing in new ways. These Persian scientists search for hope, looking for signs among the stars. The December 5th, 2025 edition of Scientific American reports on the work of Mark Matney, a planetary scientist at NASA. On his own time, he focused on a comet that appeared in Chinese records around 5 BC. We think that's probably when Jesus was born, around 5 BC, according to the way the records go. And it looked like, he said, it was nearly on a collision course with the Earth. So it wasn't like streaking across the sky, it was coming at the Earth. And so he said, if a comet made an extremely close pass by the Earth at this time, it would create this strange appearance in their early daylight of a star-like object rising and just resting there, just staying over a place, and then just standing still for a few hours every day. So however we do account for this star. The Magi followed it. The Magi were looking for hope, for rescue in a world that desperately needed rescuing, with lots of cruelty and brutality in it. They traveled, we believe, about 1,000 miles to come to Jerusalem, following the star. And when they got to Jerusalem, they went to King Herod and they said, "Where is the one born King of the Jews?" And looking back on it, that may have been a very naive question to ask, because it's a very dangerous question. Within the Roman Empire, you could say even today, popular leaders and unsanctioned kings could rise, and the empire would hunt them down and execute them. That's how they kept control of the empire. You had a popular uprising, not by our election, by your election, we'll get rid of you. And so with this question of the Magi, Herod was obviously afraid that either the empire is replacing him, or this is some popular uprising that he has to take care of before it gets out of hand. And he was a very abusive ruler, a very amoral ruler, killing his enemies, crushing the poor, a tyrant. And so for the rulers of the empire, there were three strategies, and for also like Herod, three strategies to respond to threats to their power. This is detailed by New Testament professor Warren Carter at Phillips Theological Seminary in Oklahoma. Spies, lies, infanticides. This professor likes to rhyme. So spies, Herod wanted to turn the Magi into spies. They'll find out this king, this new popular king that's rising up, so I may go worship him, which is a lie, because he doesn't want to go worship him. He wants to get rid of him. And when that doesn't work, he turns to infanticide, which is just wipe out everybody, all the boys in that region around that same age. It turns out to be 2 years and younger by the time he finally sends the soldiers, and they just kill all the boys at that time, ages 2 and under. A surgical strike on all the children. These are at least three of the ways that empires respond to threats: spies, lies, infanticides, surgical strikes, and killing. And the world today, you can see, deals just as brutally with threats to power and control. Yesterday, Saturday, 2 a.m., 1 a.m. Boston time, the armed forces of the United States attacked and killed about 40 people in Venezuela in a successful attempt to capture the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. How do we respond? How do we respond to this sudden thing happened yesterday morning? We could say that Maduro was the brutal dictator of a narco state, out of control, sending drugs or letting them pass through to the United States. He had to be stopped. We could say that when Venezuela nationalized its oil industry in the 1976, that's when Gerald Ford was president, that this was the theft of U.S. oil company property, and the U.S. needs to seize the oil and the property back. How do we respond? We could also say that this regime change is a violation of international law, decapitation attempt, just like Russia tried to do to Ukraine in 72 hours back in 2022. We could also say that according to international law, the natural resources of a country, such as this oil, belong to the people of that country. Well, whatever we think and feel about these extraordinary events yesterday, we are again witnessing the power responses of empire. And there's many empires involved in this. Venezuela has an empire of oil, maybe one of the largest, if not the largest, proven reserves of oil in the world, and along the empires of Russia, China, and United States. All these empires are battling out before us in the last day. But whatever the struggles of empire, of the powerful, from King Herod to today, our hearts are now breaking for the people of Venezuela. They've been living in many ways in a corrupt nation, but they're now in a very dangerous time of chaos and upheaval. And it's the lives of the families and children that are so at risk now in Venezuela and surrounding territories. How do we respond? I invite us first to take a lead from the scripture that Kate read for us and follow the way of the Magi. The Magi do not play the power game of politics. They do not meekly bow down to whoever happens to be the lords of politics, the rulers in charge. They do not tell King Herod where Jesus is. They resist. They resist this order from the state. They do not buy into these games of death. And they choose to respond in another way. In another way. They went home another way, by another road. You could say that their actions were actions of courage, actions of faithfulness in God's plan for Jesus, that this would be the rescuer, not the dictator of a state that just wants to kill any threat. Actions in solidarity they took with God's people. Later on in our prayers today, I'll invite us to lift up prayers for the people of Venezuela in this very, very dangerous time for them. Those who had been oppressed by its government and those now at risk in this very turbulent time of change, and all those at risk in this time of a potential civil war that could happen, especially the children and poor, always forgotten, pushed to the side by the powerful. So we are also being invited today to respond in the way of the Magi, with courage, with faith, with community. And I already take heart from the ways, from the many examples among us. Our incredible Christmas play we had, Christmas Ghost, based upon a Christmas Carol, a wonderful story of transformation. All the proceeds from that, $1,000, went already to the work of Congregational Cathedral, walking in partnership with the unhoused. This is an incredible act of solidarity, of community with those who have nothing. I take heart from our singing of Christmas carols, We Three Kings, and O Little Town of Bethlehem, and Silent Night, sings songs singing of the light in the darkness. The light is there, and the darkness has not overcome it. And that's why it's such a powerful moment on Christmas Eve when we light the candles. And first, nothing catches on fire. But second, it's a symbol of this light that is not put out by these empire games that are happening. And we can trust the way of the light. The darkness has not overcome it. The darkness will not overcome it. And continuing the singing of carols. Some of our members sang Christmas carols recently inside a local ICE detention center to bring hope and courage to those who suddenly have no hope and no freedom. We do not have to be trapped in the dynamics of cruelty in our world. There is another way. Another way. So today I invite you, pursuing this other way, the way of the Magi, will be coming up very soon to choose your star word, if you so choose, for the year. These are words that are here. It could be a word like music. This is a very important word. You can follow music this year. Another M word that's very important is mercy. Mercy. All these wonderful words here: integrity, discovery. I try to arrange it like from A to Z. all the way down to zeal. Maybe zeal will be your word for this year. Maybe for people who talk too much, it should be the word silence. Who's that? So these are words that we could call, and I invite us to think about our star words for 2026. I invite you to keep this word here with you, and just choosing a word, just choose an intention. This can help to change our reality and the reality that we live in. So I'm amazed at all the ways that we are doing that right now, the caring ways of our community, of our new community of the First Fridays, new families coming in, the wonderful music community of a choir. Choir is mostly on the road today, but we have the chorus here to do that. We're still in the new year. School has not started yet. I'm amazed at the healing effects of, I know people who are visiting the lonely, the sick, checking up on people who are going through some difficult procedures right now. I just take heart at the way the food we're making for the outdoor church, what we've done for Run for Ukraine. And I have to tell you that the people leading Run for Ukraine, raising money for hospital equipment right now in Ukraine, they say they've reached out to many churches, many caring organizations, and they say maybe 3% responded. So we are one of the 3%. They say this is a very special community we have here that can respond to people in need. So my challenge to you is to take your star word, whatever it is. Here's a great one, love. Maybe you will be lucky enough to choose love. To take your star word, put it next to your mirror so you wake up in the morning. This is maybe the first word you see in the day as you brush your teeth or shave or cut hairs or have a prayer for hair to grow or something like that. So look at that word in the morning and ponder it with your heart for this next year, this year of 2026. Follow this star. I invite you to be open to how God is calling to you to transform you, to strengthen you. Maybe not to lift 255 pounds or more, but to build up your heart muscles for compassion, your heart muscles for caring in a world that desperately needs the ways of compassion, that desperately needs the ways of caring more than ever before. Because we do not have to be trapped in the dynamics of cruelty in our world. We can choose another way. The Magi opened us up to another way this morning, the way of the Magi, of courage, of faith, of community. Follow your star. Thanks be to God.